Welcome to Find Myself Free, the podcast. I'm Ellie Young, alcohol-free life coach, mom, and athlete. I'm dedicated to helping others change their relationship to alcohol by sharing my journey of transformation. Fascinated by my own capacity for change after decades of gray area drinking, I'm passionate about sharing what I've learned from neuroscience and positive psychology to help you break free from the drinking cycle and unlock your true potential. Hear my personal stories of triumph and struggle as I navigate raising two boys, finding myself after 40, building a business, and doing it all alcohol-free. From women's health and cycle syncing to fasting and biohacking, this podcast is your roadmap to a healthier, purpose-filled life that starts with changing your relationship to alcohol. It's time to embrace change, find balance, and create the life you were meant for. Welcome to Find Myself Free. Hey, everybody. Today's episode is something special. I'm sharing the recording from my Nourish and Flourish January group, our support call today, as a gift of encouragement for anyone navigating dry January solo. If your motivation is waning, your willpower feels depleted, or you just need a little boost of inspiration, this is for you. In this episode, I share some of the key strategies I use in my group and one-on-one coaching programs to help women transform their relationship with alcohol and with themselves. With everything happening in California, the wildfires, displacement, and pain so many are experiencing, I felt called to offer this as a resource for anyone who might be struggling, especially if alcohol has become a coping mechanism. You are not alone, and you don't have to do this alone. If you need additional support, I'm offering free coaching calls this month. Let's connect and get you the help you need. Please check the show notes to set up a free call today. Now, on to the show. All right, everybody, and welcome back to your second Nourish and Flourish support call. We are heading into the third weekend of Dry January, but it's the second weekend of the program. And to kick off the call with a little bit of inspiration, I wanted to start with the lyrics to one of my favorite Beyonce songs from Church Girl. I've been up, I've been down. Feel like I move mountains. Got friends that cried mountains. I'm warning everybody, as soon as I get in this party, I'm going to let go of this body. I'm going to love on me. Nobody can judge me but me. I was born free. I love that. Sounds a lot better when she sings it than when I speak it. But hey, wanted to start off the call with a little bit of levity and to remind you that inspiration can come in so many different forms. When you are surrounding yourself with positive, inspirational content, it will shape you. It will shape you. So pick and choose the content you are consuming very wisely here. So I want to start the call too with a little bit of neuroplasticity review. So last week we were really working with the AIR method of changing the subconscious thoughts that are driving our drinking behavior. Because when we allow ourselves to have a new thought about alcohol, it actually triggers a new feeling, which then triggers a new behavior, which allows for a different experience. So we are no longer caught up in the same loop, the same drinking loop. We are in a new part of our brain. We are carving a new pathway. And it all starts with the thoughts. So again, to review the AIR method that we are working with, it's an acronym. A is awareness. Awareness that you are having this thought that is actually at the root of it is a belief about alcohol. I believe alcohol is helping with my stress and anxiety. I believe I need alcohol to enjoy my life and have fun. I believe I need alcohol to calm my anxiety, my stress. Did I already say that one? You get the picture though. So awareness is the first part. I is investigating this belief, this thought. When I think this thought, how do I actually behave? What do I do? Okay, because then you start to make that connection. When I think this thought, this is what it cues me to go do the drinking behavior, right? So we're replacing that thought. And then the R is we are rewiring it. We are replacing and rewiring that thought with one that better serves us. No, I don't need a drink to calm my anxiety. I need a sunset walk with my dog. I need to go see a friend and connect for a moment, right? We replace that thought. And then E is evaluating the thought. When I think this new thought, how do I now behave? Oh my gosh, how do I actually feel when I think this new thought? oh my gosh, I feel a sense of control. I feel like I'm empowered. I feel like I have my integrity intact, and it fuels me. It helps me connect to that future self that I know is aligned with what's most important to me and my values. Okay, so we go through this process, the AIR method, when we are getting to do the foundational work about the beliefs, about the behaviors that are about the beliefs that are driving the drinking behavior. Okay. And every time we do this, every time we actually allow ourselves to have a new thought, we are laying down a brick in our new road, our new non-drinking pathway, right? And I like to call this the golden brick road. I used to call it the golden brick road of recovery, but I don't believe in the word recovery because I don't feel like you're in a state of recovery the all time. You are going to recover temporarily, and then you are building this new incredible life, right? And you will not be in recovery forever, right? We are just in a process of change. So this is your golden brick road. And I stumbled upon this other Japanese word that I absolutely love, and I think it is so perfect for what the work we are doing here. And it's called kintsugi, right? It is repairing our cracks. This is the Japanese art of repairing pottery that has broken, that has cracked, with gold filling, right? So we are repairing our lives, repairing our cracks and our dysfunctions and our traumas, right? With gold. We are healing ourselves with this new golden brick road, right? These new pathways of healing that we are laying down with gold because we are choosing new healing thoughts, new healing behaviors. We are choosing ourselves, right? So I love this idea. So as you are going about the discomfort and the process of this change, I want you to really think about that, laying down your golden brick road, laying down gold filling in the cracks, in the painful dysfunctions, the painful discomforts that are your life, the parts of this that are forcing you to confront things that are really, really uncomfortable. And we're going to get more into that, right? But your thoughts are things. They are electrochemical, and that which means they're made up of chemicals and proteins, and they are literally forming new gray matter in your brain. This is neuroplasticity. This is the work we are doing. And in order to actually do that work, you need to go through that AIR method with the beliefs that are keeping you stuck in that drinking cycle, right? So next, I also want to start to check in on your daily rituals. What sort of habits have you started to stack into your morning, into your evening that are helping you stay whole, and so that you don't get into that state of hungry, angry, lonely, tired? This is that halt, right? I also like to call this staying above your 50% line. This is one of the tactics, right? We recognize that we are most vulnerable when we get into a state of halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So the strategy here is that we must prioritize, we must be proactive at prioritizing self, right? We're really good at putting all these other things above ourself. And the problem with coming last is that we dip below our 50% line, and that's when we are most vulnerable. And it's really, really obvious when you start to understand your own system, understand your own limitations, and go, oh, that's right. When I'm in my late luteal phase and I overwork myself and I don't feed myself and I allow my boundaries to be crossed with certain people, right? The net result is that I drink to self-medicate. So we start to recognize and we go, okay, what things in this little pattern can I control? Can I interrupt? And can I change so that I don't set myself up for the inevitable self-medicating and comfort-seeking ritual that is drinking? We are only so strong right now with our new little baby path road, our new little baby golden brick road, right? So we have to do all these other things to tee ourselves up so that our foundation is strong, so that we don't put ourselves in environments that are just cueing us 100% to drink, right? So I want you to check in. What are the daily rituals that you are committing to, right? Because the result you are getting right now is a result of the things that you are committed to. So if you find yourself still winding up in a place of at craving drinking and wanting to drink, and then you can reflect on your day and go, how did I get here? What sort of things in my environment are cueing this behavior? How am I not prioritizing myself so that I end up in this state where I'm so depleted that I feel like I want to self-medicate, that I want to check out, right? This is the work. This is the work. So today we're going to be getting into an awesome tactic. So we're working on the mental side of things, our subconscious beliefs, right? Now we're actually working on hacking the physical drinking habit. And I love this. I took this from James Clear's Atomic Habits, that we are going to, how to hack the habit loop. So I love this quote from him. It is, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." So we are going to be hacking our habit system in two different ways. One, we're actually going to be breaking the drinking habit, and then we are going to be building in new habits, new rituals. Okay, so we're going to be doing two sides of the coin here. So the first, this actually comes down to understanding your habit loop. Really truly does come down to the environments that you're placing yourself in. And an environment can be both mental and it can be and it can be physical, right? A lot of times we just think about our physical environments, right? But they are shaping you, right? When you consider a plant that needs, let's just say it needs 6 hours of sunlight to grow and to thrive, right? But you have planted this plant in a shady part of your yard, a shady part of your house. I used to do this all the time. I love these incredible flowers. I really wanted them to like grow at my house, but unfortunately the way my house is set up, I can only grow shade plants, right? And I don't have a sunny section of my garden that gets enough sun to grow these plants. So I kept trying, and the plants wouldn't grow. They just died, right? How are you like that plant? How are you trying to put yourself you're like, oh, I need sunlight to grow. I need 6 hours of these things, right? You know what you need, but are you continually putting yourself in a shady spot, right? Shady. Okay, so let's break it down. The habit loop here. We have the cue, the craving, the response, that's the actual behavior, and the reward. So the way we actually interrupt and break a bad habit that we want to stop is first with the cue. How can we make that cue less visible? We want to make it less obvious to us, quite literally in our physical environment, but also around the people we're putting ourselves around the content that could be triggering cues, right? Stress related situations, right? Can we eliminate as many cues as possible? And again, this is so much easier said than done because alcohol is everywhere. But we really want to pay attention to what we can control in our physical environments, right? So we want to remove the alcohol from the house. We want to make sure in this early stage, we are not taking ourselves to places that are just booze central, right? And again, temporary. This is not a permanent thing. Eventually, you will feel strong enough. You will feel confident in your non-drinking identity, and this won't be an issue. But in the beginning, you don't need to put yourself in such a pressure cooker of cues to drink, right? We just came out of the holidays. That's a pressure cooker of environments that we have that unfortunately we can't avoid a lot of the times, right? But now this is a new year. You have this month. You are dedicated. You are committed to working on this. This is temporary. Do the things that you know you need to do to put yourself in the environments to thrive right now. Okay, so make that cue invisible. Next, craving. This switches from the physical to the mental. Cravings are mental. How can we make it unattractive, right? This is going to take you back to the mindset work that we are doing, the neuroplasticity. I want you to remind yourself, when I have a craving is essentially just a thought. It's a thought that is stemming from one of those subconscious beliefs that you think alcohol is going to do something good for you in the moment. It's going to help you change your state into some other better state of being, right? And so I want you to go, oh, there's that craving thought. Isn't that funny? I thought alcohol was going to do X for me right now, right? It's going to relieve my stress. It's going to help me, take the load off, all these things, right? So when you have that craving thought, I want you to make it unattractive. Wait, I know better. Alcohol does not help me relieve my stress and anxiety. It makes it worse. And I want you to remind yourself of that. Remind yourself, it causes cancer. It sleep deprives me. It wrecks my sleep. It disrupts my hormones, right? Make it unattractive. We are constantly flooded with attractive thoughts about alcohol. It's the elixir of life. This is where my joy lives. This is where my fun lives. This is how I relax. All the things, right? You need to hack those beliefs down one by one and actually make it unattractive. And this is the truth. You are not telling yourself lies. Be real about what alcohol is to yourself. It is an unattractive, toxic substance. Remind yourself of that, okay? Next, the response, the drinking behavior. Can we make the response, the drinking behavior, difficult? Can we make it hard? Again, this switches again back from the mental to the physical. In your physical environment, can you make it really difficult for yourself to actually drink? Can you remove all the alcohol from the house? Can you make sure that you don't let anybody drop off alcohol? That you say no to people that want to bring things over, that you decline invitations to go out if you know it's going to put you in an environment that is too triggering, right? Make it hard on yourself to actually drink. Again, this is uncomfortable. This is temporary. You will not be stuck in this state for the rest of your life. You are not always going to be in a craving place that you have to constantly shelter yourself away from. But in the beginning, while we are trying to lay this golden brick road of a new behavior in our brain, we have to give our brain all the help it can get. So that is how you might make the drinking, make it really difficult on yourself, right? Okay. The next step is the reward. How do we make this reward that our brain thinks it's going to get by drinking? How do we make it unsatisfying? This is the next step. Okay. This switches back into the mental framework. Okay. I want you to remind yourself, play the tape forward. What happens when I do drink? Okay. What happens? We know, we're pretty familiar. One drink turns into 3. That turns into bad sleep. That turns into maybe behavior that I don't love. That turns into me feeling like crap the next day, not showing up great at my job, not showing up great as a partner for my family, for my kids, right? Wrecking my motivation for the day, sabotaging my health goals, disrupting my mental health to the point where I am so filled with shame, anxiety, and depression. And I know this is going to last for days, right? That is really unsatisfying. That little blip of my brain that goes, oh, damn, that's going to feel so good to drink. I'm just going to check out and numb out. No, remind yourself of what it actually does. Remind yourself of the lingering anxiety, depression, the sabotage that it does to all of your other goals in life, all of your other values, right? This is heavy-handed, but again, we are up against a structure in our brain that is decades old that has only glorified alcohol. So we need to knock that down and be real about what this substance is and what it actually does to your brain, to your body, to your life. All right? It is unsatisfying. Okay. I think I hit that pretty hard for you guys. All right. But the next part is we're not just stopping this behavior, right? This is like that mindset thing too, where we're just focused on what we're not doing. We're like, okay, I'm hacking the habit. I'm not going to do this behavior. I'm not going to do this behavior. We now actually have to replace that behavior with something that feels good. Because at the end of the day, our brain is after dopamine. It is craving dopamine. So when we stop this behavior that does deliver this really crazy big dopamine boost, our brain goes into craving mode. It's like, oh, but wait, it's Friday night. I want that dopamine. What are you going to give me instead? Okay. So again, we want to make sure we're shifting out of focusing so much on what we're depriving ourselves. We want to shift into what are we going to give ourselves? What are we going to gain? What are we adding to our life so that we know that we are now creating a life that doesn't require us to self-medicate to tolerate it, right? So we use this same habit loop structure, cue, craving, response, reward, but now we do the opposite, right? How can we make the good behavior that we want to do? How can we cue ourselves? We make it really visible. We make it really obvious. So this goes into our physical environments. If you know that instead of at the witching hour at 5 p.m., this was me, that instead I want to go walk my dog at 5 o'clock when the sun sets, I would cue myself in my environment. I put my walking shoes by the door. I have my leash out. I set a timer at 5 p.m. when the sun is setting. Say, when this timer goes off, I'm going to cue myself to get out of the house, the drinking environment for me, and go for a sunset walk with my dog, right? Cue yourself to do this new behavior that is stimulating dopamine through some of your senses, right? Next, we want to make the craving. So again, we are now cued to go walk the dog, and we say, "Oh, that's right. I'm like, I want to crave walking the dog instead of drinking. How can I make that craving really attractive to myself?" This is where I want you to think about the thought work we have done. So if you want if the thought that when I walk my dog outside at sunset, I feel my anxiety come down. I experience a sense of awe. I am proud of myself. I feel like my integrity is intact when I choose this behavior, right? So that is the kind of stuff I want you to be thinking about. Just like we are rewriting the bad thoughts that keep us stuck in the drinking cycle, I want you to build in thoughts. When I do this behavior, walking my dog at sunset, I feel renewed. I feel restored. I experience a sense of oneness and calmness with the universe because I'm outside experiencing something beautiful, right? So make the craving attractive to yourself. And that goes back to the mental thought work we can be doing around this new behavior. Okay, the next one is the response, the actual behavior. How can we make it really easy on ourselves? Okay, we're back into the physical. Again, how can you tee up these things? You want to start drinking the lemon water? Can you tee up the lemon water so it's really easy to use? Put the lemons right next to your thing in the morning. Put the journal right by your bed at night with the pen to remind yourself to do the thing. Cue your environment, put all these things so accessible. And this goes back to also your little sober toolkit that I want you to have. You need to have that at the ready. You need to have non-alcoholic drinks at the ready in your home. And you need to have things that stimulate your dopamine senses, things that you really love, dark chocolate, good smells, essential oils, cozy clothes. You want to make these things really accessible so that it's not like it doesn't require a lot of work for you to now go access these things, right? All right. Lastly, we want to make these rewards that we're dangling, that we're teasing ourselves with, right? We want to make them really, really satisfying. And the good news is they should be satisfying. When living your life in a healthy, awesome way, it shouldn't suck. It should actually feel really good. And you know that because all of a sudden, not only is it aligned with what's important to you and your values, you're actually giving your brain feel good chemistry. You're giving your brain and body what it needs nourishment wise, right? You are also connecting to that future self that is thanking you for living the way that they want you to live, right? You don't have to wait for all the stars to align to start living this way. You can choose right now to actually start doing the behaviors that feel good in your brain and feel good in your body. It shouldn't feel like work. It should feel good. So what are some easy, low-hanging fruits of little behaviors that you can give to yourself that you know that are going to really make you feel good? Get really curious about this. This is kind of like going back to that childlike part of yourself. Like, what do I actually love? What do I actually enjoy? Right? Find that. And that is how you make this new behavior really, really satisfying. This is something I actually love to do. Right? Oftentimes when we stop drinking and we are really get really analytical about it, we start to go, I didn't really actually like a lot of the things that I did when I was drinking. I was just tolerating people, tolerating environments, tolerating boredom. And I drank this substance to get through it all. And it basically just dulled your dissatisfaction with the moment. So use this as an opportunity. When you are removing alcohol from your life, you are actually creating all this space to find out what you actually really do like to do, what you really love, right? All right, moving on. Okay, so now what are the behaviors that we want to add? And it can be difficult to like start to try and plug these in, right? But they have to actually feel really good, right? These behaviors actually have to try and replace the dopamine that alcohol was giving you. And unfortunately, nothing feels as good as the boost as dopamine from alcohol because it's really big. Not just alcohol, drugs, sugar, a lot of like processed junky food, right? So we are now trying to build in what's called dopamine stacking. We are trying to replace that void of dopamine that we used to get from alcohol with other little behaviors that are going to incrementally stack that dopamine so that you actually feel good. And the ultimate like goal of this is that we train our brain to crave these behaviors instead of the alcohol because they actually do deliver a dopamine boost, right? So a note on cravings too. Your physical cravings for alcohol, if you've stopped drinking, usually the physical cravings, which is a biochemical response in your body, a void in your pleasure circuits and not, that lasts about a week for the hangover, for the withdrawal period to actually be over. After that, we are just faced with mental cravings, emotional cravings, right? So when you get one of these cravings, oh, wow, a drink sure sounds good tonight. What chemically happens in your body just with this mental thought is that the brain goes, oh, we're about to get alcohol right now. You had a craving thought, you thought about alcohol. Let's pre-release dynorphin, which again, it's the opposite of endorphins. And so what it does, here you are, your dopamine's rolling around at its normal baseline level. You have the craving thought, ooh, I'm about to get a little drink of alcohol. Sometimes you even get a little blip of dopamine in anticipation of drinking, but then the brain goes, nope, course corrects with that dynorphin, pulling you below your baseline. We live in that void and we're like, oh, I'm craving a drink. I'm so uncomfortable right now. We now need to stack dopamine to get out of that low dopamine state. So what we are doing is we're trying to boost dopamine on all five senses. This is my dopamine stacking system. So something that is, there's sight, smell, taste, hearing, and feeling, right? So think about building your toolkits with these kinds of things or building your night around these types of things. So sights, can you find a beautiful vista to look at and experience awe, right? You don't have to be at a Grand Canyon to experience awe. It can be tiny little beautiful moments, but it gets you outside of thinking it, so small inside your own head to being one with the universe and experiencing awe, right? It makes you feel small. Can you see some beautiful art? Can you actually get into art? Art was a huge therapy for me. In my early sobriety days, I did a ton of tie-dye, and I did a lot of gift giving, which was like a really therapeutic and beautiful thing for me to do. Can you look at pictures of loved ones? Can you get into nature? Any form of nature is going to be incredibly powerful at boosting dopamine, okay? Smells, essential oils. I want you to be mindful of fragrances, okay? So we know that artificial fragrances created by chemicals, are now known endocrine disruptors. So things that have perfume, fragrance on the label, we don't want to overdo it with that kind of stuff or actually eliminate it altogether. Easier said than done. I love candles and I've slowly been eliminating all my candles, sadly. But so it's like things that are natural fragrances, or even cooking with lots of herbs and spices, things like that. Also taste. Dark chocolate is huge for this. Dark chocolate actually is a huge known dopamine booster and it lasts. It's really good. Again, spices, herbs, really good herbal teas, that kind of stuff. Getting out in nature again. Nature smells really fresh and amazing. I highly recommend that. Listening. Okay, your favorite music, right? I have noticed though in my own experience that certain songs, party music, festive kind of like certain songs can actually trigger a drinking craving for me, especially back in the day in the early times. I used to be like, oh, that's right. I used to get down to this song and I used to take shots and I used, all the silly stuff, right? So one of my favorite types of music to listen to right now is like flow state music. Just Google flow state on Spotify or Apple Music. And it is just kind of like music that is calming to your nervous system and gets your brain thinking and just puts you into flow state. I love it. I use it all the time when I work. Um, Also getting into nature. Nature sounds beautiful. It sounds amazing. Get quiet and listen. Feeling. Okay. Can you put yourself in some cozy clothes? Can you get a cozy blanket, right? Can you create warmth and coziness? Also, feeling is about being in your body. Can you stretch? Can you move your body so that you create heat? Can you listen to what your body needs and actually try to find tension in your body and lean into that? That's why I love yoga so much. So, the yoga is a great way to experience a lot of dopamine boost in your body because you are tapping in and listening and feeling and flowing in your body. Okay, so this is your toolkit, right? We are finding things that boost on all five senses, and we are trying to have this go-to list and also visualize this. Visualize your night happening. Okay, I am expecting cravings to come up. Here's what I'm going to do instead. And you have it laid out so that your brain doesn't have to come up with ideas on the spot and get stuck in that craving cycle. Okay, so we have a plan. We have queued up and teed up our environment with the habit, the cue, craving, response, reward. And we have done some mental work around how to make the cravings to drink unattractive and how to make a craving to do something else really attractive, right? So building this stuff in to your life. This is, again, I love this new phrase I came up with. This is how you build a life that you don't need to self-medicate to tolerate, right? All right, so your homework after this call is to create your own stack, your own dopamine stack of feel good behaviors, things that you can give yourself instead of alcohol. And now this can be a little toolkit that you carry in your purse. This could be a little mini sanctuary that you set up in your house, a special room where you can have some privacy and you can have different things that you can tee up and have at the ready so you can escape and get out of the environment that's cueing you to drink and get into your little sanctuary, right? Um, Again, so we want, and here, so after you have created your list of little behaviors or things you can do instead of drink, I want you to go through the cue, craving, response, reward loop and ask yourself, where can I plug these things in? What kind of mental work do I need to do to make this easy for my brain? This is what we are doing. We are hacking our brain. We are using neuroplasticity in our favor. So go through. Can I create can I make the cue for this new feel good behavior really visible and obvious? The craving. Can I create an attractive thought or mantra? You want to help your voice. You want to find a voice inside yourself that when I do this behavior or I give myself this thing, I feel nourished. I feel cared for. I feel empowered. I feel pride because I'm doing the thing that I want to do and I feel confident, right? That's what we're trying to create. Next, the response. Can I make this new behavior really easy? Can I place these things in a really accessible spot? Can I create a little sanctuary or my little sober toolkit, right? Reward. Can I make this reward satisfying? This is mental, right? Celebrate that you're choosing you. Your future self is thanking you. You are living in alignment with the things that matter most to you, your health, both mental and physical, your relationship to yourself, right? You are not abandoning yourself with these behaviors. You are nourishing yourself. Your family, what kind of example are you setting? That is priceless, right? You are teaching them how to live life without relying on a toxic substance to get through it, right? Now, a note on dealing with discomfort, right? There is no question that stopping drinking leaves you feeling very raw. It leaves you feeling very vulnerable. The things that came up for me, the feelings in early sobriety, were largely signposts telling me these are the things that I need to change about my life. These are the things I'm dissatisfied with. These are the problems that are keeping me up at night that need real solutions, that don't need me to just numb it and just kick the can down the road to a version of myself that's actually less equipped, that has less energy, that is now sick, hungover, tired, depressed, and anxious. And all of a sudden, I expect that version of myself to better be able to handle this problem. We know that doesn't work, right? That's why these problems that come up when you finally decide to stop numbing and start looking, they can be really uncomfortable because they have been there for a very, very, very long time, right? And this is our opportunity. This is our opportunity to create real change for ourselves. So, numbing that stuff basically paralyzes you and it prevents you from taking any action to change the situation. So, when you are feeling a lot of discomfort, a journal practice that you can do first thing in the morning or at night is write down what is snagging you energetically. What is the source of your frustration, the source of your dissatisfaction? And then I want you to actually take ownership of your reaction to that. Now, I don't want you to place any blame on yourself. I don't want you to place any judgment. I just want you to think about how this thing in your life, how it has driven all these other choices, right? A lot of times we find like, whoa, that is the source of my drinking. That is it. I am drinking because of this thing in my life, right? And again, do it without any judgment or blame. All right. This is just a completely judgment-free zone. And we are just trying to reveal itself to us, shining a light on it, right? And then I also want you to check in with yourself. Check in with the halt. Did I get hungry, angry, lonely, tired today? Check in with your mental health pillars. Am I taking care of myself, right? Am I neglecting something? Oftentimes we find that there's a big key component that we're neglecting in ourselves, right? That we have placed ourselves so low on our priority list that it's like, that's always the thing to go, right? Instead, I want you to really be looking at these things in your life and going, it can't be me that is the thing that I disregard and neglect, right? It can't be you. You have to put yourself so far up on your list that you start to realize these things that feel urgent, these things that feel necessary, these things that I'm just like, oh, I can't say no to. I have to do that. I have to do that. You start to realize, no, that's the thing that has to go. And it's uncomfortable, but you start to recognize if I keep letting myself go, if I keep letting myself be the thing that I disregard because I've got all these other priorities in front of it, that's not working, right? That's what you are currently committed to is showing you your results, right? The results you're getting is showing you what you're currently committed to. And if you are not committed to yourself and your growth and prioritizing your health, that's the result you're going to get, right? Okay. So get curious. What happened today to make you crave? Did I get hungry? Did I get angry? Did I get lonely and tired? How can I revisit this cue craving response reward loop and build in things that are going to help me stay above that 50% line, right? Okay. Last but not least, this is one of my favorite tactics, and it's called leaning into the craving. Okay. Cravings are going to happen. They are completely natural and they happen for a very, very, very long time. In fact, when I celebrated my 1 year sobriety, what did I naturally want to do? I wanted to drink. I wanted to celebrate. I was like, how do I celebrate? Well, you drink champagne, you go out and it's like, oh my gosh, after a year of not drinking, my brain still has a neural pathway that says, hey, when you celebrate, you drink. It's incredible how powerful and strong these things are. So get away from the idea that you're not going to crave or that we have to fear our cravings, right? So a lot of times we isolate at home because we are so afraid to get into a state of craving because we're afraid we're going to fail. We're afraid that we're going to face the craving and not be strong enough, right? And so here I want to actually flip that totally around on you. And I want you to know they have no power over you. Cravings are just thoughts, but cravings are really uncomfortable. We desire a change of state. The craving is like, I'm really uncomfortable. I don't want to be in this state anymore. I want to change it. And alcohol is a very fast and easy way to change a state, right? But change, I want to tell you, change lives in this discomfort. It's just on the other side of staying in that discomfort. There's a very, very thin line between what is comfortable and what is courageous. And it is courageous to stay in that little discomfort zone just long enough to let it pass through you, okay? It can feel scary. It can feel scary not to race to numb that sensation in our body. But when you sit with it and get curious with it, create a little bit of distance between you and that craving thought, and you will recognize it's not a permanent state. It is a passing thought. And then when you see that it's just the thought that is cueing this chemical response in your body, you're going, oh, I had that drinking thought. It cued a chemical response in my body. Now I kind of feel a little bit low dopamine wise. I'm in an anxious state in my body. What can I do instead? And you distance yourself a little bit from the thought and the behavior, but you're not running away from it and you're not trying to numb it. You're actually witnessing it and you're observing it and you're going, look at that. I had a craving thought. I thought alcohol was the answer to this discomfort in my body. What can I give myself instead? What do I really need? And this pause, this little moment of leaning into the craving instead of running away from it and numbing it and trying to resist it, trying to pretend it's not there. When we resist something, it becomes bigger, right? It persists. It becomes bigger in our mind to the point where it just overcomes us, right? I hear a lot of people with dry January coming out against it saying, hey, when you try to eliminate alcohol altogether, all you can do is focus on it and you end up drinking more. Yes, of course, what we resist persists. And a lot of these people are so afraid to actually do the work to go into the subconscious beliefs and go, what is actually driving that behavior? Okay. This practice reminds you too that you are not your thoughts. You are not your craving thoughts. You can separate from them, right? You can create distance. And when you realize they have no power over you, it will float away. No one is forcing you to drink, right? No one is literally grabbing a cup and forcing it down your body, right? Your brain is doing that to you. You are creating a state of being and you are allowing those thoughts to overpower you. And then so again, it's a very meditative, very like meta thought here where you're backing up and you're saying, I am not my thoughts. I am experiencing a craving thought. This is what's happening in my body now. What can I do instead? What can I do to provide relief instead in a way that nourishes me, in a way that makes me feel empowered and aligned with what I know is most important to me, which is my health, which is my family, which is my future, right? So that is all I have for you today, you guys. I know it's a lot. I get really into this stuff because it's changed my entire life doing this type of work. And I want that for you. And I know it can feel like a lot, but I hopefully gave you some tactics today that can plant some seeds of inspiration, content that you can come back to and replay and journal and sit down and do some of this work. Get really curious about what is going on subconsciously with yourself that is driving your drinking behavior. Okay. And then hacking your habits. Spend a little time. Putting pen to paper allows this process to really sink in, and it gives you momentum. It gives you some ammunition so that you just didn't think about it casually while you were listening to this. You actually did a little bit of work. It only takes a few minutes, right? And that way you have something to fall upon when those cravings come up and you go, oh, that's right. Craving response reward. How can I start to interrupt this stuff and plug in new little behaviors that are better for me? How can I rewrite that thought that's trying to sabotage me right now? Okay. I am with you. You got this. And I will email you all your homework. And I hope to see you all next week on our next call. Until then, I am with you. You got this. Hey, you've just listened to an episode of Find Myself Free. And if some part of this left you wanting more, if your curiosity has been piqued and your intuition is telling you, I'm ready for more, then check out my coaching offers at findmyselffree.com. I have the Brave course to help you break free from booze, and I designed this course with the exact lessons that led to my transformation. I also have the balance challenge for those ready to learn the art of cycle syncing to balance their hormones. If you're looking for additional support and to take either of these programs to the next level, I also offer one-on-one coaching. Now, I worked with a coach for 4 months at the start of my alcohol-free journey, and it made all the difference. Being able to talk to someone who knew what I was going through and could help me navigate my new world gave me a foundation of support I could build on. And it's a big reason why I'm a coach today. I want to help others find their freedom and level up their health. If this sounds good to you, connect with me at findmyselffree.com and set up a call. Listen to your intuition that is telling you you were meant for more. I am with you. You got this.